Hey. Um, so, I was thinking to myself that Kate might want her movie. I told you a long time ago that anybody I did a chorale for has their own movie. And I did write Kate a movie. I was wondering if she wanted it or not. Let me try to remember it. Oh, that's right. I had to do this for everyone else too, so just give me a minute. I have to. If I get some key qualities back, then I can usually remember the whole movie without making any mistakes during the movie. Okay. So, Kate's incredibly beautiful. I mean, the thing that I love most about Kate is the closer you get to her face, the more beautiful she gets. And that's something that I always treasure. And so, her beauty, in my mind, doesn't have any comparison, especially when she sings, too. I mean, it's just like, she was already beautiful, and then when she sings, not only can she sing, but she just, you leave whenever you're around Kate Vogel knowing that she's the best in the world. And that's to her credit. You can only imagine what kind of divine person a human being has to be able to have someone else say that about them. So that's to her credit. You're not supposed to think the other way. You're supposed to actually have an appreciation towards these sorts of people because they're there for your benefit. You know, they're there to make, hopefully make your life that much sweeter. You know, sort of like the way you have a best friend. You have a best friend because you're a happier person when you're around them, because you take joy from the fact that they're there to comfort you and help you and make you believe in dreams coming true. And so with Kate, I think she lives this sort of lifestyle. And to her benefit, everybody else gets to experience her passion through song. You know, somebody believed in her somewhere, and so all of us get to just become better people that we know her. And so I did write her a movie. It starts out, she's a typical teenage girl, and she has a boyfriend, and she has, you know, her mom and her dad, and she has a really nice 2-story house. And she starts out with her on her bed, you know, she's on the phone talking to her friends about how she's going to go on this date with this guy. And her friends come over and they end up basically like talking further and you know, sitting in the bathroom on the counter and like, so what are you going to do? What are you going to say to him? And so she just, you know, she just goes like, I don't know. You know, he's, you know, the quarterback. You know, I don't know. What do you say to the quarterback? And she's just like, just tell him that, you know, every cheerleader has to date the quarterback. And I just want to let you know that you're the luckiest man alive. She goes, I can't say that. He goes, okay, well then I'll say it. You're not going on the date. She goes, okay. Well then don't say that. Just tell me exactly what happens when you get back. She goes, fine. So eventually it becomes dark outside and the doorbell rings and this guy shows up. And they go out on this date, right? And, you know, they go to the movies and there's the light coming from the movie screen reflecting on her and him, you know, and she keeps looking over and then looking back at the movie and then taking a drink of her soda, and she looks down and his hand is on her leg. She blushes. Well, she reaches down and touches his hand, and immediately just this flash of light happens, and all of a sudden just a wash of dreams start to flood over her mind's eye, And pretty soon she enters into another dimension altogether. And she's in bed with some man she's never met in this really extravagant mansion. And she's having sex with him. And it's really dark, and it's got these, it's a really nice bed, the kind that are like 10 feet high with the poles and the drape and the like the see-through drapes around all four corners. And then just this huge master bedroom, and like really nice rugs and even couches. Well, eventually she looks over and she sees that there's this dress on the chair. She doesn't remember the dress, and then when she sits up and he gives it to her, he calls her a different name that she's never heard before. And because she's intelligent and she knows that she's caught in a web of psychedelic twists of fate, and realizing that she's a woman around a man and she can't necessarily bring about her confusion or put herself in harm's way, she tries to figure out just exactly which dream she has fallen into. So she just starts asking questions about, like, casually, like, so, and she basically is trying to learn about where she is, what time period, what's his name, who's his family, oh, who's that, or in different, very intelligent ways. Well, as the night goes on, she eventually closes her eyes and she goes to sleep. And when she wakes up, she's back in her bedroom, the first place, with her friend basically tugging at her arm. Wake up, tell me everything. Well, when she sits up and the sunlight hits her face and she's just back to her regular self, she's just like, incredible. And it stays with her basically then throughout the whole school day, where she's in a daydream. And the quarterback eventually comes over to her locker, so he's just like, what's up? And she's like, hey, I had a good time last night. She goes, you did? Yeah. Great, that's nice. I did too. And he goes, so, with my friends, we were all going to go out to this banquet party. I was wondering if you wanted to go. She goes, yeah, sure, of course. And he ends up making plans with her at school. Well, all the rest of the team is basically like saying hey to her, the rest of the day in school. She's the popular girl in school now that she's dating the quarterback, and everything went, I guess, really well. And she ends up later on driving in her car home with her friend, of course, who never leaves her side. And well, they're hanging out. Actually, they're baking in the kitchen, and her mom's there, and they're talking. So, what are you going to do tonight? She improvises better than anybody. And she's like, we're probably going to do this and that. She's just like, the whole time she's just basically like also thinking, I might not make it to the party. I might not make it to the party. And the doorbell rings once more, and the guy shows up, and he's dressed really nice. And well, they end up getting into his car, and when he leans over and kisses her, just this flash happens, and then she's in this really nice limo. And this same gentleman from the first time is in a suit, and he's making out with her neck, and then she sees that she's holding a champagne glass, and she sees that he has friends in the car, and he's making out with her, and one of the women starts kissing on another guy, and pretty soon the driver says, we're here, and then they pull it next to this really darkened mansion, and like lightning strikes. And they all get up, and it's raining outside, and you see from a sky view them like trotting inside the house, and then there's this huge masquerade ball, and they're all going in there and having a wonderful time. And then she spots another woman, and this woman looks a lot like her, but it's not her, but she's glaring at her the whole time. And when she goes to shake her hand, this woman gives her a flash of her other life, and it gives her a peek into some radical, psychotic sex fiend is taking over her body in her dimension, where she's more casual and sweet on this very kind gentleman. This woman has been screwing her boyfriend, the football player. And it freaks her out because it was a very live, vivid view. She was having sex, but this girl was straight fucking her quarterback boyfriend. And so she gets nervous because he's going to some party and there's going to be beer, and so she starts looking around, like going into different sections of the house, like hitting on the walls, like trying to figure out a way back to her dimension before this woman screws up her whole life. And she ends up going back to her boyfriend and just trying to kiss him. She just goes in and kisses him. Well, she gets called up on stage at one point because she's the boyfriend of this really important guy. And the event is important enough to have her make a speech. And when she's cluttering up the stairs, she slips and falls and hits her head. And when she blacks out, she wakes up. And she's at this party where everybody's screaming and there's this keg. And everybody's trying to wake her up, and there's this girl with her top off all the way, and everyone's cheering at her, and she's got this keg stand right next to her, and everyone's saying, like, do it again, do it again. And she's like, what did I do? What happened? What did I do? And then the girl stands her up, and a girl she's never met before. That was so awesome. What was awesome? What was awesome? And then they're just laughing, you know, and they just hand her another beer. And eventually it just sort of fades out, and it shows her in the car with this guy, and they're making out in the car, and when he's dropping her off back at home, and he's getting really close to her, and she elbows him in the face, and he has a bloody nose instantly, and she runs out of the car just humiliated, basically because she's cluing in that this other woman is completely ruining her life. Well, she goes inside, and her mom is there, and she's sitting down next to her mom on the stairs, and they're basically talking, and she's just jabbering on and on about how, like, well, there's this guy, and then, well, there's this girl, and she's trying to basically explain all the things that are happening, and then her mom just spies her purse behind her, and she secretly is looking through her purse, looking for any sort of medication or drugs or whatever. And then her mom basically, well, she leaves, and then her mom calls some help, some intervention help, because she was very fanatical. Well, in the midst of all of that, when she wakes up the next morning, she has a visit from a friend of the family talking about how maybe she should seek treatment. And she's like, no, I'm fine. And as scary as it may sound, this person is a little bit more invested in the interest of Kate, much like anybody that she meets based on her beauty alone. She has crazed people that are close to her that all you have to do is basically knock, and they answer with a little bit of an obsessed, sadistic sort of view. Unknowing who this person is, she's scared of them because it's like he's more interested than he should be, and acting as if he knows what's going on. Well, let's see what time it is. I have to stop it and then I'll restart it.